Speak into the microphone. Make your presence be known.
Are we here?
We've been here,
Don't
dude.
be afraid to take up space.
I'm terrified, dude. Keep it small. I like to make my lap into a table sometimes. It's a good way to save space.
What's up? Welcome to Locker Room Talk. Matt Maran, Joe Gorman, Bobby Sheehan, with our guest this week, comedian Steven Wolff.
That's me.
What's up, Steven?
Oh, just partying as always, you guys.
Yeah, me and you were blabbering before the
Yeah,
podcast.
we were chatting a bunch about all kinds of shit, food, candies, and then the topic that I wanted to save.
Yes, you said you were saving Pee Wee Herman for the podcast.
was Pee Wee. I'm mourning the loss.
All right,
Still,
a real
it's
one.
not old news for me. This is my life.
He got busted for CP, mon frere. So
Did he?
be careful. Yeah. The
I
police
thought he was
fucking
just- I thought
No.
he was just jerking off in the movie theater.
No, that was the tip of the iceberg.
Really?
For this pervert.
I'm not going to let you aim your guns at Pee Wee. Not today, okay, Joe?
Well,
this is not the day.
Fucking bang, bang, you little fucking child fucking pornographer peddler
Bang,
defender.
Bang, bang, an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's cool, right? Jerking it in a movie, in a public space that is kind of a private space.
Yeah, but the movie
That
that was
is
playing was Little Rascals.
It's a public space. I actually did, I would always say if I had a time machine, I was going to go back in
and
time.
jerk off during Little Rascals.
And save First of all, you don't need a time machine to that. and say I was gonna go back in time and save Pee Wee Herman from getting caught jerking off.
So, like,
in-
you would go in there and start sucking his dick all aggressively. And then, like, the police would come in and arrest you for rape instead of arrest Pee Wee for indecent exposure.
exactly, take the bullet for him. I'd say Pee Wee put it
He was
away.
like, I don't know. He came out of nowhere and started sucking my dick. It was crazy.
But I can't do that obviously. So what I did do is I looked up and I found the porno that he was jerking off to.
Yeah.
And I jerked off to it.
What was it?
I can't remember what it's called
It
now.
was like,
but one of
okay,
those
what was the name of the
generic-
gay porn he was watching that he so diligently masturbated to?
He wishes, dude, honestly. I was watching it. It was like the most boring ass 70s ass fucking porno. So many scenes in this porno.
That would be so embarrassing to
It's
be
like the movie Clue.
Yeah.
What if like the last video you jerked it to is what the public will know? That's terrifying, right?
Ooh, that's what before you die, everyone gets to see the last thing you jerked off.
Like you're
to.
in court.
That's not
You're in
bad.
court for any kind of crime.
Yeah.
And they're like, but you can be exempt from this crime
Oh.
if it's public knowledge the last video you jerked off to.
That's not bad.
It depends on what the crime you committed is.
No,
but
it's any
yeah.
kind of crime. You get one.
I think for some, yeah.
You get one. Then I
for
would
some
save
crimes,
that shit.
I would take it.
No, you only can do it once in a lifetime.
Okay.
So, like, say,
then,
like, public-
so if you're like being arrested for shoplifting,
It
and
could
you're
be
in
shoplifting.
Court,
It could
but I'm
be
just saying, then it's like you maybe don't want to do it yet because you want to save your get out of jail free. Well, not quite free, but get out of jail card by people seeing your porn. You may want to save it because I may do something worse than shoplifting down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, that's interesting. There's
But then-
strategy involved.
But
here.
then you don't know like what's the last. Then you also have to be very diligent of what you're jerking off to.
That's
with the
true.
knowledge that it could be public knowledge at any point.
Right. So I'm gonna like jerk off to what's like a nice thing to jerk off to?
A sunset.
Yeah, I'll like jerk off to a sunset and then murder somebody, and then go to court and be like, yeah, go ahead.
It would like
Show
help.
the last thing I jerked off to.
It would help curb like crime of passion. Like, oh my god, I would love to fucking slit this guy's throat, but I just jerked it to some CP. I gotta fucking wait a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you try to fucking get one more jerk off sesh to kill the person, but you can't get hard because your
Yeah.
balls are already fucking depleted.
Right.
And you're like, god damn it! So you're trying to like fucking get your dick hard to fucking come so you can finally kill this guy.
Give it a wag.
That's
Yeah,
a pretty
wag it
fucking
about.
exciting action film I just wrote.
You can still come with a softie though.
Come with a softie.
You can, it's possible.
It's impossible, dude.
It's possible.
Not for me. It has to be
Can't
fucking
be that
rock hard.
soft.
It's possible, you guys.
I've been at like maybe 70 to 80% and still come, but I can't be soft and come.
You just gotta keep at it.
You just have fucking. Are you just
You
like
gotta
constantly
keep at
dripping
it.
pre-cum?
You gotta just keep going.
Pus is leaking.
This is
just leaking out of my dick.
This is a very disturbing revelation.
Yeah, I know.
I did
Yeah,
not
yeah.
know you could just keep going on a soft dick.
Yeah.
Always.
Because I've never, believe it or not, I never tried. So I just keep going on a soft dick.
I honestly learned it from Johnny Knoxville.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
What else you learn from him?
Hi, this is Johnny Knoxville, and this is Jerking Off with a Softie.
So I imagine basically just an entire like super rich group of like a kind of classic boardroom of all the rich people in the world, you know, mostly white guys, and then one like the Arab guy with the garb, and then one like African warlord with like
Right.
military decorated and shit like
Matumba.
that. And they're there, and then the boardroom kind of brings them in, and they're like, "Hello, I'm here, and I'm auctioning off all of the footage of everyone in the world jerking off." How much do you think that's worth?
A couple trillion.
1 trill?
2 trillion.
Well, because think about the amount of billionaires out there and how much they would pay for people not to see it.
That's a good point. Yeah, exactly. It's
So it
all
would
about.
probably add up to the trillions.
Who do you
That's the
think?
thing
Who do you
is-
think's the most depraved billionaire of them all?
The ones that we don't know.
Yeah, that is true. Exactly. The
Yeah.
ones that is so true. It's the ones that are not famous. That's what everyone is always on. That's what I always pissed me off about the Jeffrey Epstein thing too, is it just shows truly people's lack of imagination of what rich people are even up to. They're like, he's
Yeah.
diddling little kids. You're just like, that's the most you can come up with. He's gotten billions of dollars. Like that's
Yeah.
literally the most creative you can
Yeah.
get.
Do you think
as a
that's why?
person.
That's why You think Zuckerberg and Musk are like false flag billionaires to convince the world that most billionaires are just like autistic fucking weirdos that want to fight each other to give out a tough guy persona.
Totally.
But the real ones are like orchestrating wars, like in Succession.
Yeah, no, totally. That's what it's all about. And also, like, for their own personal gain. You know what I mean? It's all about, like, literally just to keep their fucking amazing-ass private jet that, like, they've customized so that you don't even hear the sound anymore. You know what I mean? They've customized the jet so that when you're on the plane, you don't hear plane sound
Yeah, we make
anymore.
fun of like billionaires for stuff like that, but also it sounds amazing.
And, yeah, it's like,
Dude,
literally,
and
it's
they're
like,
like,
they've gotten
billionaires, you just want your private jet. I'm like, if I had a private jet, I would want it also.
every detail of life they've managed. That's also why I do think Jeffrey Epstein really did kill himself as well. I don't think he was murdered because it's truly the fact of it. It's like he had his life so controlled that it was like being able to spend a night without AC. He was like, abso-fucking-lutely not. Like, I'm going to kill myself right now.
I could see somebody like that in that situation killing themselves, in theory, but also fucking
Most importantly,
Hillary Clinton. I'm not.
HC, baby.
Do you-
When Hillary Clinton's involved.
do you think it was suicide or do you think it was harikari?
Yeah.
And do you think at
Right,
the last
how
moment,
honorable.
yeah, Jeffrey Epstein was redeemed through his death?
Well, I think he was very into Japanese culture. I
Yeah.
think that's true. Isn't it amazing? Two people don't talk about that. They're always talking about how like, the Japanese are always killing themselves. There's a very high suicide rate. It's like, yeah, they've always loved that shit, dude.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
always been their favorite fucking thing, and they live for it. They live for killing themselves. That's
How
what they're
far,
all about.
Joe, as our quarter Japanese
Yeah.
representative, where does the Japanese suicide thing go back to? Is it before Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
Yeah, man, it goes back to like fucking. It's like an honorable thing.
Yeah,
in Japan.
seppuku.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking cool to kill yourself in Japan.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the latest rage. You got to try this. Hey, Takoshi-san, you got to see this thing. It's the craziest thing. You die and you'll have a high honor.
Don't cover your damn mouth like you're coughing. You laughing at racism, boy. Grade A racism.
Grade A racism, because in Japanese culture, you don't want to get less than a grade A.
Nice.
Disappoint your parents.
This is a top shelf racism.
Yes.
Very good. You honor my family by being so racist.
I like it. I like. Who's your favorite Asian?
Who's your favorite Asian?
I guess Godzilla.
Yeah. Godzilla's up there. Goku. Goku is pretty good. Oh, favorite Asian, Ash Ketchum.
Ash Ketchum is a good Asian. I'm
Ash
like,
Ketchum's up there.
I'm racking my brain right now. I can't even
Yeah.
think of.
You can't think
You don't think of any
other- you
Asians?
can't
What
think of
what's the
any
name of that
Asians.
hentai you like so much? Fucking Elementary Girls 7 or some shit like that?
I
Oh,
had
what
a-
about Alex Davenport?
Now he's your buddy from the
world.
the open mic scene, right?
Oh yeah, everyone. He needs to. All I know about him is just the same 3 jokes that he says every time.
Hans Kim's another favorite Asian of mine.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he is Asian. Oh, my roommate's Asian. Oh, okay, I didn't.
There you go. You got an Asian.
My roommate is Asian, and I didn't have shampoo, right? So
Yeah.
I was in the shower, and I was like, I'm gonna use some of his shampoo, and he's got Asian smelling shampoo. It's like sesame-y shampoo. He's making himself smell Asian.
Is it like an import from
Isn't that
Japan?
a little on the nose? Yeah, I mean it is. It's like Asia's got Asian-y stuff and like, but it smells. I'm smelling it. I'm like, it
He
smells.
calls he calls like the Asian language Asian-y stuff on it. It's got like it says shampoo in Chinese. You're like, look at that Asian-y stuff that's got on it.
Yeah, the Asian ingredients. I know to him they're not Asian ingredients. They're just ingredients.
Asian
but he's
it's got
but
soy
it's a
sauce.
little on the
What do
nose.
they call Asian ingredients in
Asian
Asia?
ingredients.
Ingredients.
Yeah.
It's a little on the nose.
It's got
though.
General
Yeah,
Tso's in it.
But yeah, he smells, and I think then I'm like, oh, it's not racist to say someone smells Asian.
Yeah,
because
smell-
they're using Asian shit on them. They're covered in Asian materials.
Yes.
which makes them smell Asian.
Yeah, you
It's-
got to catch them all.
they got you.
Smells like a lotus blossom
My-
and steamed rice.
Because you know what Pokemon translates, so you know what that means.
Pocket
right?
monster.
Pocket monster. I'll
Yeah.
show you a pocket
I
monster.
got a
Oh, yeah.
I got a pocket monster.
I'll show you
for
my
you.
Onyx.
But I love it. Yeah, it goes back, circle back. Yeah, they love suicide and they love pedophilia. What is that? They
They
love
It's
love
a,
pedophilia
it's a
in
beautiful
Japan?
culture.
They do. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that he's saying that. When I started playing Zelda, he starts off Link for the first part. He's got no clothes on in that Breath of the Wild. It starts
Yeah.
off he's nude 14-year-old boy.
Breath
so
of the
Pee Wee
Wild.
Herman was
yeah.
into Asian culture too.
Yeah. Well,
How
they
did he-
they raided Pee Wee to bring it back.
Yeah.
They raided Pee Wee Herman's house when the principal from Ferris Bueller's Day Off also got busted for CP.
Whoa.
Yeah. And they were like, oh, okay, well, the guy who he bought his CP from, Pee Wee Herman also bought stuff from. But Pee Wee Herman bought like boxes and boxes and boxes of antique photographs and, kind of like kitsch, like 1950s sort of stuff.
Pardon my French, Herman.
Yeah.
But you're an asshole.
So, eventually like, they looked at some stuff and they're like, maybe in some of these photos, it's possible that they could be under 18. But it's hard to tell. Because like they're
Yeah.
so old and the quality, it's not like
Yeah.
it's not like you're jerking off to it. It's unjerkable.
Unjerkable.
It's
Yeah,
impossible. Your Honor, I'm not defending here, Mr. Herman. I couldn't have possibly jerked off to any of these portraits. It doesn't look like a supple teenager that would elicit such sensations in one genitalia. It looks like a pixelated snowman or a yeti. It's impossible to pleasure oneself. He would have to be locked up in a loony bin to do so. And if he is insane, he certainly cannot be convicted in the fine state of Pennsylvania for possession, distribution, and indulgence of child pornography.
Chapter 1, Article 2, Section 3 of the Unjerkable Clause says my client is innocent. How did Pee Wee Herman get, like, the movie theater story? What were the details of that? Like, was he jerking off and the cops came in? Someone,
Yeah.
like, called the cops?
They found him by his gray suit and red bow tie he was wearing at the time.
like,
They were like,
were the
wait a
cop-
minute. And then they held up a VHS copy of Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
And you're like, could it be? And he was like, look at. And then, like, right as he came, he went,
That's not...
and then they were like,
came
it's
to the
him.
back where they're like, that's not as big of an adventure as I thought you'd have.
I do wonder though. It's like, what do they just like have a sting on? Is it just a bunch
Yeah.
of gay guys jerking off with each other, and then they like have a sting
I
on
think it was
essentially?
I think it was like back in like the early days where like a porn theater was also for straight men who just needed to bust a load but didn't want to rent a VHS tape.
Yeah, wasn't Fred Willard got caught jerking off in a movie theater too? I think?
Really?
Yeah.
But that was like later in life. It wasn't like
Yeah, because I saw.
it was
I
like
think he
at
was
an-
on Letterman, and he was like, "I'm trying to enjoy a movie." Like he joked about it.
Yeah, but it's also like, damn, dude, like just fucking download it on your smartphone.
Yeah.
Like that was like an age where it was completely unacceptable to be fucking busted for that.
Well, I
because
guess
it's like-
I mean
Exactly.
it almost makes
He's
me.
on TV. He's got a VCR. It's definitely a thing that he liked to just be like. It definitely was a thing. He had never had a wife. He never had kids. He just liked to like have a weird like
Pee Wee
asexual
Herman?
yet.
Yeah.
Pee Wee Herman. He must have just liked to just be.
He
in
never
the
had a wife
presence
or
of jerking.
anything.
now look,
Exactly.
now he died
Yeah.
alone, dude.
He must
What
have
was
just been a
it
very
worth?
secretive, like, but I mean, he must have been a gay guy, right? It must have just been a very like secret.
I mean,
secret
also just the most
situation.
unfortunate thing for anyone to ever get caught with their dick out in public, and your name is Pee Wee.
But that's the best part because we first of all also there's that detail like we can't possibly understand what the actual severity of the scandal is, like how the public at the time actually viewed such a
Him
like
jerking
that
off
scandal,
in
like
a
how
movie.
we would view that scandal at the fucking
Yeah.
time. Like,
we
have
didn't
no
have social
idea.
media, so it was all very biased. Where it was like Pee Wee Herman caught jerking off, and we were like, "Oh shit, bad." But like, if we had like an open forum, everyone would have like an I Am Spartacus moment of like, "Well, I jerked off at a gay porno theater."
Yeah.
No,
Me too.
I
Yeah,
too
yeah,
jerked off
that's
at a gay
true.
porno
Yeah.
theater.
Goddamn.
No one knew to come forward, and now look, Pee Wee Herman died in obscurity.
If it happened, yeah, if it happened today, he'd have a podcast on Gas Digital.
But then,
Hey, knock that off.
But then that's the best part is he still was able. Remember, he was still working through the '90s. Like he was
Barely.
in Batman too. He was in Dunstan Checks In, Mystery Men, amazing fucking movie. But who was canceled was just Pee Wee. It's crazy that he just foisted the blame.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Pee Wee
Yeah,
was jerking.
it's like
it was just
Paul Rubens. What do you have
was
to say for
jerking.
yourself?
He was like,
It wasn't me, Your Honor. It was Pee Wee. They asked to speak to
It's like
Pee Wee
Hulk
Herman.
Hogan when he was in court, and they were like, on the Howard Stern show, you had a 10-inch penis. He's like, Hulk Hogan has a 10-inch penis.
Yeah.
Terry Bollea does not have a 10-inch penis.
Exactly. It's amazing you have that kind of out. It's impressive. Amazing. I wish I had that.
Do you?
I spent 4 years as Nick Matthews as a pro wrestler. I can just say a whole bunch of shit that Nick Matthews does.
Oh yeah, look at you, former
Nick Matthews doesn't suffer from premature ejaculation.
When is he coming back, Nick Matthews?
He can't. He died.
Yeah. He died in a terrible train wreck. Never coming back.
He got into a fucking limo and it exploded right
Yeah.
after
Oh,
he got in.
But then a week later, Chris Benoit died, so he came back to life. Do you know Vince McMahon did a storyline on TV where he goes into a limousine and it explodes and he dies, and a week later Chris Benoit legitimately died and killed his wife and kid, and so Vince appears on screen to basically acknowledge that happened, and then they just never acknowledge the story that he
Yeah.
died. They just cut the storyline.
The Jumbotron had the news report of Chris Benoit murdered his wife and kids, and then it goes to Vince McMahon and goes, "Well, that happened." It was very 90s.
It's actually it's worse. It was they found out he died, but they didn't know he had killed. They found out he died and his wife and son died.
Yeah.
They didn't know it was a murder suicide yet by Monday night. So they did, instead of doing a regular wrestling show, they did a 3-hour tribute to the memory of Chris Benoit.
I love that.
And then
that's-
throughout the
yeah.
night, they started hearing more details, and by the next day, had to issue a retraction and be like, "Actually, he's not the great guy that we spent 3 hours telling you he was yesterday."
Yeah,
What did they
I love
think
that, the
happened
slow
then?
trickle of info.
I think they thought maybe somebody
Yeah.
invaded or something and killed
Well,
them
he was
all.
he was feuding with Chris Jericho at the time, so they thought the Ayatollah of rock and roll might have been
Yeah.
somewhat responsible.
No, there were some conspiracy theories that it was Kevin Sullivan. I think we talked about
Right, I
this on the
get it. Yeah,
podcast
it wasn't
before,
the
yeah.
assumption you see a room of dead people and then you're just like, oh, they were all murdered. It wasn't an assumption. You
Yeah.
didn't have to rule out murder. Now you know you got to rule
Yeah.
out murder. Sue
There
me
was a
first
conspiracy
before you-
theory that there was a guy who legitimately what happened. This was in 2007, and then in the 90s, Chris Benoit, the woman who was murdered, was a wrestling manager whose name and storyline was Woman. She was just Woman, and she had been married to another wrestler. And that wrestler was booking the show, and he booked her to be Chris Benoit's on-screen manager. They started traveling together, and she left him for Chris Benoit in real life.
Pretty scary, huh?
Just that they made the storyline and kind of life imitating art. So there were people saying when Chris Benoit and his family were killed, I bet Kevin Sullivan's still mad about that from the 90s, and he actually went there and killed him.
Nice, dude. So do you think by them having kayfabe, that's why they fell in love, or do you think they were always in love and they wrote the kayfabe around that?
I think it was probably one of those, I don't know if they were in love before, but then when you when you're traveling on the road together, you're doing everything together 24/7.
Oh, that's why you book all those female comics on this mic, huh?
on this
That's
mic.
This mic, dude.
This
Mic number
yeah.
4.
Ha
Ha ha ha! Nice try, Matt. You're in love.
to travel with them and spend all this time with them.
Well, we're going to the Poconos Festival, so maybe you'd like to be the 4th mic. Oh, it's funny. They split us into 4 rooms. Why don't you just stay in my room? It's a honeymoon room. That's weird.
You get the heart-shaped tub
Yeah,
in the Poconos.
Matt.
la-
Matt
last
did it.
year-
He went cannonball. He
Last
jumped in
year
it.
we did a live locker room talk at the Poconos Comedy Festival, and it was at a couples resort.
Did you get the vibrating bed with the quarter? You put the
No,
quarter
we were
in, get a
we were
vibrating
staying in a
bed?
different hotel, but we did enter the tunnel of love to get there.
Oh, with like swan, you gotta get a swan boat, or is it just a regular tunnel?
It was just
It was like a
regular
hollow.
tunnel.
It wasn't like a big redwood tree that had a hole carved in it.
yeah, I
Oh,
think so.
that's nice.
Yeah.
That's fancy.
That was cool.
We're talking about people, family, domestic murder. Phil Hartman, was the co-creator of Pee Wee Herman.
Oh,
of the
really?
Pee Wee Herman
Co-creator.
character. Yeah, and he wrote. Yeah, co-creator. He was like with the groundlings with
His
with
like wife
Paul
shot
Rubens.
him, right?
Wife shot him in the head in his sleep. How cool is that?
Because
you
of
know?
Andy Dick.
Yeah.
Because of Andy
Oh,
Dick.
I
Oh,
forgot
because
about that
Andy
part
Dick
of
gave him all the cocaine. Oh yeah, because Andy Dick was giving everyone the cocaine back then.
And what
right?
happened? So she shot him because she didn't like that he was on cocaine.
Well,
No, she was on cocaine.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
Phil
were like-
Hartman was a good boy,
yeah.
but his wife was like.
I think they were all doing drugs, but I think like she got
No, he
started to get, like, a major
threatened to
problem.
leave her if she didn't get sober. That was the catalyst.
wow.
I bet it was such a hilarious way he said that.
Oh, because he's Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
He was just being
There's no
all-
way. You
Yeah.
might remember me from such divorce trials as right now. Hell
Yeah,
dude.
she was there was resentment too because she was like a failed actress.
You know,
and he was
um,
not a failed actor. So there was like a point of contention.
And they
there.
had a closet full of guns.
So
yeah, that was probably the worst. If there was just no guns, because it takes like a different type of person to stab someone.
I
to
know,
death.
to stab someone in the head, and even then you can wake up from it and be like, and then it's just like Phil Hartman was stabbed
Yeah.
in the face.
Dude,
and
if
then
my
he
wife-
lived.
yeah, if my wife tried to fucking stab me like when I was asleep, I'd be like fucking like this, like fucking asleep, and then she'd have the knife and like bring the knife down, and I'd be like, ching, and like fucking catch it between my index and middle finger. For those of you
your
just
teeth.
listening, yeah, fucking catch it in my teeth.
No, that's right.
Not
If she
tonight,
tried to,
baby.
she tried to shoot him in the head. He would catch the bullet in his
Yeah.
teeth like Penn and Teller.
Yeah. And then like I'd grab the knife, wrestle it, and then like slit her throat and be like, not tonight, baby. You're on your period. Because she's bleeding out of her neck.
Right.
That's how periods work.
Of course.
Yeah.
Blood, a bloody woman.
But-
That's a woman on her period.
But yeah, I'm still trying to get down to the bottom of how Pee Wee Herman was caught jerking off in the movie theater, or Fred Willett in general. Do cops like walk in, or
I think
does
it's
somebody
a sting? I think they have stings
really,
on these.
or do
places.
people like call the cops because they see it happening?
I
Oh,
bet like
that's a
the
good
person that like
question.
sells them the ticket like alerts the police like, hey, celebrity came in here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, there's a celeb. That's a
Oh.
good point. I didn't
Because you
think
do have
about
to give an
that.
ID when
That's
you fucking buy a
interesting.
ticket.
Oh, so you think when famous people so if you're not famous, you could jerk off in movie theaters and no one says anything.
What's the incentive to bust a famous person?
It's fun.
Clout.
Yeah, it's fun. I think.
Fun. Okay.
I think they also have, like, a
That's the most likely explanation. I think.
You know.
I think it's also like cops like to feel in control, and nothing makes them feel more in control than like taking
Also, back
down-
then, when something that you did gets on the news, like for you to affect the news and like get in the newspaper, like that's a very exciting.
That's
That
like
was the
going
90s
viral.
version of going.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not always exciting to be in the news.
but to affect it and to be like, oh, I did the. I don't know. There's something. Yeah, that's a power play.
Yeah, I was in the New York Times this week. That's why I said that.
I didn't know context. Okay,
You didn't know
let's get
Matt
some-
was in the news?
No, I
Yeah.
did. What happened? To you in the
Alleged
news?
rapist in the New York area spotted at local open mic.
What did you do in the goddamn?
By the way, I
news?
want to acknowledge that Matt went 23 minutes before he brought it up.
Yeah, I waited.
I knew, we
were
I
talking about
should've
Pee
taken
Wee
a bet
Herman.
beforehand.
That's
You
nice.
should have taken bets how long it would take.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
No,
For
I
those
did,
of you that had mentioned pro wrestler, that was at 15
I
minutes.
mentioned pro wrestling before I mentioned that I was in the New York Times this week.
You
And
mentioned Nick Matthews 10 minutes
Yes.
into the podcast.
And so you're in it for your.
I did for comedy. I did a roast show that was roasting AI.
You roasted AI.
Yeah.
And
You
did
tried
the
to.
AI roast and I assume the AI.
Yeah,
They
well,
mopped the floor with Matthew.
so we talked about in the episode me, Bobby, and Ilya kind of went over the whole thing a few weeks ago. So I won't go through the whole thing again. But basically, they had promoted the show in the New York Times. They were talking about AI taking over and like comedy and stuff. So the crowd was a New York Times crowd.
Right.
So even there was other stuff on the show, and nothing was really doing that well. And the first couple jokes I did were kind of getting a little bit of something, and then once I got to like roasty stuff, they turned on it, and I just kind of went full heel and just kept bullying the robot. And
the
then,
heel of Comedy Fight Club.
yes.
How
And
how about I insert my floppy disk into your C drive, huh? How about that?
Well,
Damn,
the-
dude, I should have gotten on that.
Pretty good.
The fucking robot. What is this sensation? Could it be love? And then like 1110 it like overwhelms the
The
system.
first round, it was AI Sarah Silverman, and they gave it a bunch of information about me. So in the first round, I roasted the idea of AI, and it roasted humans. So my jokes were about like scientists not getting laid. The one joke I had that did well was ChatGPT is named after the 3 things a scientist never sees: girls, pussy, and tits.
That's pretty fun.
That's pretty good.
Pretty fun.
And
Pretty
then
good,
I
pretty
went
good.
to Amazon Alexa and Siri. The only time a scientist ever hears a woman talk to him.
I don't know if I go for this.
This is where I started. To, this is
Bobby's
where
siding with the AI.
this is where I started to lose them. And Bobby.
Bobby,
that,
you were there.
No,
I was there.
What can you tell us? Okay, after Matt's done, let's hear the real side. I mean,
Right.
Bobby's side of the
Right.
story.
I said that people asked if I was nervous about this, but I realized most AI voices are women, so I'm not worried about it being funny.
Oh, well, that's a little broy.
Yeah.
man. I don't know.
Oh, that was that
Oh,
was
yeah.
the article.
The like second paragraph of the article mentions broy comic from Queens, Matt Maran.
And then he said like first
He-
joke didn't land, saying women weren't funny.
No, he said it early on. He lost the crowd with a joke, riffing on the idea that women aren't funny.
But by the way, lost the crowd. I don't think the crowd was ever there.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's
Yeah.
fair.
Bobby,
But
will
well,
you-
the AI had a couple of lines that worked, but they were like weirdly worded because it's a robot. But anything a robot's saying, and also I was reacting like angrily. So like at one point in the article, like he seemed defeated. I'm like, I was playing it up. It was fun.
Nice.
Like,
would you challenge that AI again, knowing that that AI will come back only smarter now and even more prepared?
no.
Dare I say more of a challenge?
Maybe in front of a better crowd. But no, the New York Times reporter, I met him, and he's like, he could have done way worse.
Well, Matt, I have the responsibility to my lawyers. I mean, fucking, I'm Jewish.
Yikes, dude.
Good job, Bobby. That was a good impression.
It's good input.
But yeah, so I roasted AI, and once I started doing kind of harsher jokes, the crowd was turned off, but I still just leaned in, so it was still a fun show, and it just became the crowd cheering for the robot over me, which I'm fine. Like, I just played into that and still made it entertaining.
That's like a reverse John Henry, where like everyone was rooting for the machine to
Yeah.
fucking kill this guy, dude. Well, that's okay, Matt. I'm
and-
sure.
Yeah, and afterwards, like there were like radio reporters who did like a lot of people did interviews with some
Mr.
woman
Marin,
like took
Mr.
down,
Marin.
yeah, took down my number to interview with me, and everyone was like super complimentary to me after, and I was like,
Everyone, Steve.
but that,
This
that's
woman said, "What's your name? I'm 8 months pregnant and I want to give a name for my baby."
Yes.
And it was like Matt Marin. She's like Matt, like Matt, Matt Marin, my moron, Matt
I'm
Marin.
not co-signing this. Dude.
Hey, we're just kidding, folks.
Yeah.
That baby, Matt Marin Jr., healthy 15-pound baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5
Takes
times
after
the amount.
Matt.
Oh,
There you go.
Oh, well, I feel like you're allowed to tell that story on the pod every time. Right?
Yeah, man.
Freaking Mark Maron on his podcast,
Yeah.
he tells that same stupid story of auditioning for SNL every goddamn
Yeah.
time. So this is way better than that.
Well, yeah, I mean, but the AI, that part of it I've told. I haven't talked. The New York Times article just came out a couple days ago.
Would you
But
say it was breaking news?
I'd say it was breaking news.
Hell yeah.
I thought it was awesome because
Was
I'm
your
like,
picture there?
Also, my picture's in there with
Your
me.
picture's in the New York Times. You
Yeah,
made it,
I'm
dude.
sleeveless in the New York Times.
You're sleeveless in the New York
and
Times.
my name is in like the second paragraph of an article. Calling. Also, I was like, I'm a broy comic from Queens, and I lost the crowd with a sexist joke. What did I ever think the New York Times would say about me
I'll
if I
be
was
honest.
ever in the New York Times? That's actually way better than it could be.
Did he
Now,
mention that it was
Bobby-
the Sons of Anarchy portion of the show?
They did not.
You wrote most of Matt's jokes at that
did.
roast.
I
so
did, yeah. Well, I'm
How
Matt,
did-
I'm
how
Matt
did-
Marin's right. Matt doesn't even like wrestling.
Right,
He
yeah.
asked me to give him like bullet points before we record the podcast.
well, they say you are the Neil Brennan to his Chappelle.
yes. Yeah.
Kind of keep it. So how did you feel about did you feel like, if he delivered it this way, we probably would have won?
Yeah, I felt like the fact that it got to him really messed up
Yeah.
his delivery a lot, and I asked him to be less broy. You know, like a little more everyman. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like a little.
Yeah.
Because he's addicted to this whole sleeveless thing. I
Right.
thought maybe a nice sweater vest would have done well.
Yeah.
Maybe a I'm with her button.
When did you get it hooked on that? When did that become your thing? I'm sure you've talked about it before. But
I was born sleeveless, baby.
There is actually a picture of me on like my 3rd birthday party, and I'm wearing a tank top. But no, I started. It was when I was like in college. Is when I was like doing pro wrestling, and I was working out like every day, like twice a day, and I would just wear my workout clothes pretty
wear
much
the
everywhere.
tank, I see. But then when did it become like the costume, like the comedy costume?
So I was like on my college campus. I already had like my friends would like almost jokingly be like, I feel like I never see you wear a shirt with sleeves. And then when I started doing comedy, I wore the few shirts with sleeves I had because I figured I couldn't like be sleeveless doing comedy. And after like a week, I'm like, I have to buy all new clothes
You're
or
like, I'm
just
just
dress
not
the way
me.
that I normally
Yeah.
am.
Wow. What an inspiring tale about being who you are.
Yeah.
Or spend like a little bit of money to fit in.
Well, no, I mean,
Then
I
what
also
happened?
I had like a way that I organically liked to dress and look, and when you're trying to do anything in entertainment, why would you go away from a thing that is natural and makes you stand out?
I'm gonna be a
It's
suit
true.
guy. I'm gonna go to every
Yeah.
open mic wearing a. There are actually a few of those guys,
Yeah.
and they come
Yeah.
and go in the New York comedy scene.
Yeah.
They're very unsettling, all
Yeah.
of them, because
Yeah.
none of them are like, I've come from work, so I have to be dressed like this.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they
That's the thing.
made-
It always
yeah.
feels contrived.
It's got a real dress for the job you want energy.
Yeah.
They also have a very like I'm dressed up. They also have like that kind of traditional like, well, you're supposed to wear a suit and tie because people are paying for an experience.
Yeah.
But like with them, it's like they're not. That's like the only suit they have. They have one suit.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Yeah, it comes off like when you see a homeless guy in a suit. You're
Yeah.
like, the suit almost makes him look poorer in a way.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, but that's also in a weird world. Like before there was any other data, though, either too. It's like all you know is like this man dressed up. That's
Yeah.
what you know. But
Yeah.
now you literally know it's like you know how long it took them to get here. You know how hard they've been working. Like you can look like a schlub if you can prove it. You know.
Yeah, in San Francisco, there was this one comedian who I thought was like in his 40s when I met him, and he was like 27. He was like 2 years younger than me, but he was like this big Armenian guy, and he would always smoke cigars, and he would do Rodney Dangerfield style jokes about like
Hell
not
yeah.
having respect. Big guy, like 300 pounds, but he would always wear a suit because like that was the image he wanted to give off. Like I'm a suit comedian. It's kind of classy, but he wore like the same suit. So it started to smell awful. Yeah, you know, like he just had
Borat?
like he just had like the one suit, and he would like I'm sure he would like wash it every now and again, but
Yeah.
suits are you're supposed to like kind of alternate the fucking dress shirts and stuff, and he just had that like he would change into it, but he looked awful. He looked awful.
Sweaty, right? Because you're always going to be a little. Not everyone's wearing a suit. You're going to be a little sweaty.
There was a
Right.
wrestler I knew who used to never wash his tights until he had a bad match. He felt it was good luck to keep having good matches, and then he'd end up he was superstitious.
It sounds like you get a staph infection.
He did, and everyone got it too.
No, I don't
Mercy.
think
Staph
did.
infection.
Well, I
Bobber.
mean, this is
joking around.
This is pro wrestling, so you weren't in like a mat room.
Oh right, yeah. This
Yeah.
is pro. We're talking pro wrestling. Why do I imagine you just doing real? That's a
I did that also.
I imagine you doing
Yeah.
this whole time, just doing real wrestling.
I
with,
did
like,
when I was a teenager. I did
the
Greco-Roman.
strong man with like the
Real wrestling.
I did Greco-Roman tournaments for a few years, and then did
That's
pro
the oil
wrestling.
one, right?
I never oiled for it.
Please.
You were more mud, right?
I was more mud. Yeah, I
Matt
was
had
mud.
like just a natural fucking oil on him.
the
already.
natural sheen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Use it, Marin.
Yeah. My mom was very upset with the New York Times article.
Why?
Really?
I sent it to my. She was like,
She's
he
like, they
called.
weren't nice to you.
She's like, he said you lost the crowd. He's a jerk. I'm like, I did. I don't know. I'm like, my dad was like trying to cheer me up. He was like, hey, a lot of people famous people talk about bad reviews they got back in the day. I'm like, yeah, I've heard of those too, where they ripped them apart. He did not do that to me. He said I was broy and lost the crowd. He didn't say I wasn't funny. He didn't say he didn't go after me at all. Considering like what they could have done, I thought it was like I mean, I didn't read the whole thing. I stopped reading after they stopped talking about me.
Folks, you find your favorite part of the article in the New York Times about Matt Maran, post it in the comments.
A few of like high school friends. I mean, the cool thing is like the amount of people from like my whole life who are like reaching out to me.
Oh,
no one who books
yeah.
any comedy shows, but
Why not?
I don't
That's
consider
the other-
those people friends.
yeah, I haven't got any more spots. I'm not
Yet.
Not yet.
Have you tried emailing people?
No, I should be
Make
like
a press kit.
Yeah,
New
you
York
gotta make-
featured in the New York Times.
As featured in the New York Times, the New York Comedy Festival.
Yeah, I've done New York Comedy
Yeah,
Festival.
see, you just fucking put all those little
I'll do
alpha links together.
Comedy Fight Club Locker Room Talk, then New York Times, then New York
You
Comedy
just copy
Festival.
Ben Miller's
Skankfest.
stupid little press kit, send it around, send it around to the nation, and
Yeah.
boom.
Yeah.
You'll be making your rent by the end of the month.
Yeah. But also my thought is like fucking if I actually am like I've been featured in the New York Times, anybody who sees that and is like we got to get him is not going to like me.
It's just a good little credit to have.
Yeah. I mean it's a cool feather in the hat, but also print media is dead and I haven't got any new followers or bookings out of it. So
Do you think there's any correlation?
to what?
The New York Times and not getting booked? Do you think
Oh,
people
I
saw
was-
that or like, well, I would have booked this guy,
But he's too famous
I'm just
now.
gonna I'm just gonna run a fucking AI program instead.
Oh, that's I'm going to book AI instead of Matt.
Yeah, that's what I would do. It's like, well, damn, I'll just fucking fire up Chat GPT and be
Yeah.
like, Chat GPT, do a fucking 45-minute headlining set about being a non-binary comic in Brooklyn. You know, and then like, bing, bing, bing. So my dad's a TV producer, and I have multi-million dollars, but because I don't have a day job, it gives me an everyman persona. Damn, that fucking AI crushed it. You know what happened? I really did just turn off my brain.
Yeah.
And I went, meh, 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 meh. I
Or
should
did
do
you
that more
or did
often.
you access that much more of your brain?
Fuck, maybe, dude. You know how like the human brain you only use like 10% of the human
Yes.
brain? What if I got like really high and used 14%?
What was that movie where like you only
the
used
pill or whatever.
yeah, that you only use 10% of your brain.
Limitless.
Yeah, what if you
Bradley
used all
Cooper.
of it?
That was that turned out to be Ozempic that he was taking.
What a stupid
yeah.
concept.
But yeah, people
You
were-
got high.
But yeah, I had people reaching out to me mad about the guy calling me broy. I was
Well,
like,
they
what
should
did-
fucking write. They should send death threats to the New York Times
Yeah.
writer who fucking misinterpreted. Matt, that's actually like fucking libel, dude.
for calling me broy. I should sue them for calling me broy.
Yeah. Make them issue a retraction.
And then they look up like my recent credit card bill and they see gym membership, protein shakes, beef jerky, and they're like, the evidence is here. Clearly, the man is broy.
Plus, he shouldn't respond to criticism that he's broy by bullying the author.
That's true
Yeah.
too.
Shoving him in a locker.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You heard it,
Give him, like,
fans.
a wedgie.
Don't trace it back to Matt.
Your Honor, it was just one of those days. He's quoting Limp Bizkit. He's definitely broy.
But he has an artistic side as well.
I have an artistic side, yes. An autistic side. You said that wrong.
don't say that.
But yeah, it is it is kind of like cool that I like get to say I was in the New York Times.
You're in the news, yo. That's freaking awesome. One time I was like on fucking New York 1 with
Yeah?
my dog as a kid. That was a real big deal for me.
What happened?
They asked you if you like turtles.
they I don't get it. But but saying no, just some bullshit. But I was literally just there in the thing, and it like made my fucking life. Just
Yeah.
like being
Nice.
on New York 1.
I was in
on
the
a fucking-
background of a couple of like sports things. I used to work security, and I would like
Oh,
I
yeah.
would like bodyguard for like players coming out to the U.S. Open. So I'd like friends would send me pictures of like me behind like Serena Williams and Roger Federer.
A sports extra.
Basically, yeah.
That's good stuff.
You ever see those people in like the polos and sunglasses with their earpiece in, just like hands crossed, walking behind an athlete? I was one of those people.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's what I want. You guys ever seen the movie Hook
Yeah.
that's Captain Hook, right?
with Robin Williams?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I know.
You
of it.
haven't seen Hook, Matt?
I haven't seen a lot of stuff.
What the hell?
I grew up very sports obsessed. I know every like World Series, Super Bowl. I watched like everything of that, but I missed out on a lot of pop culture things.
You know what? That makes sense. That does make sense. Where there is that wall between us, where it's like, and I never saw a single sport growing up.
And I only saw Star Wars a couple years ago. I never saw any Lord of the Rings.
Really, you were just like, no. I gotta watch the game. I gotta catch.
I mean,
the
it wasn't
game.
like I was turning. I saw a couple Harry Potter movies just because like friends were going.
No, but
I didn't like.
Simply, there was just always a game to be
Yeah,
watched.
and it wasn't like I was actively avoiding. I didn't hate any of those things. There was always. I had friends who were always watching or doing something sports related. I was
Always
playing.
more sports. Your dad was a sports guy.
He was a baseball guy.
Dad was a baseball guy.
So that was my first.
And you guys
love.
would talk. Yeah, dads who love baseball. That's such a
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, you talk about baseball.
Yep.
Freaking what? Isn't it? When was the last time you went to a baseball game?
Yesterday.
No, it was. I've been to a few this year. I take my dad to a Yankee game every Father's Day.
And isn't it awful? Like,
I love it.
Isn't it
I
just
love
a
baseball.
terrible place to be? I
No.
find that it really is. Like, I used to go to baseball games as a kid. I
Yeah.
remember, and I don't know if it's, but I went to one not long ago, and I feel like it is now just like a place for like the mentally ill. Like, it's just like the only place where like mentally ill people can like hang outside. Like, it is like literally designated activity for like screaming Tourette's, like crazy.
I think it's
people.
so fun, but everything you're saying is true. I haven't heard anything that's not true so far, but everything you're saying also sounds awesome.
Do you remember when it was just two? You're from New York.
I'm from New York,
Do you
yeah.
remember
New York.
when they built the new Yankee Stadium and it was just two Yankee stadiums
Yeah, they were
next
right
to
next
each
to each
other?
other, yep.
It's the stupidest fucking
Yeah,
thing.
before they tore it down, there was a little bit where they were both there. You're from New York also,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
where did you go? Yankee or Mets games growing up?
I definitely went to both. Like, it was
Yeah.
all about like whose dad. It was like whose dad we went with. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, my dad would take us to Yankee games, but then we had I had a friend with a big fat dad who would take
Mets
us to Mets
games?
games. Yeah, exactly.
I went
James?
Were they good games? I went to a lot of Mets games. I grew up in Queens, so we
Right,
would go to
of
Mets games.
course.
But my dad grew up. My dad, when he was like first 10 years of his life, the Mets didn't exist yet. So his
Oh,
they were
yeah.
Yankees fans.
Mm.
So I remember my friends were Mets fans, and I had like a Mets shirt just because I like baseball and I like the Mets. But the first time I watched games was with my dad watching the Yankees.
Right.
And that first year was like the Yankees won the World Series.
Right.
And I was just like, I think I like the Yankees now. It's something I do with my dad. So
It's all about
my dad saved me
Yankees.
from being a Mets fan.
I'm probably going to say, I feel like people who are Mets fans were just trying to be contrarians. It was this sort of annoying thing of just like, what? They clearly suck. They
Yeah,
were
for me,
never,
I grew up
ever-
in Queens, though, so I think a lot of people felt like Queens, Long Island pride, and there was like they gravitated towards the Mets because that was like outside of the Islanders, and they're the same colors.
And then like the real New Yorkers went with the Yankees.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. It's the way I always viewed it too. I remember when it was the whole Hillary-Bernie situation. I remember
Yeah.
it was just like Hillary was the Yankees, like the number one team, beloved by all and yet hated by all.
Yeah.
Like, and yet hated by actually all. And then the Mets were just like this. Oh, like washed
Yeah.
up, like no fucking chance.
Yeah,
like,
that makes sense.
Ju-
The Yankees,
you know, like,
the Yankees
oh,
also,
like-
the Yankees also killed Jeffrey Epstein.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Which
Circle
games
it all
did you
back
enjoy
around.
watching more, Yankees or Mets games?
I guess that's a good point. The Mets, I think, were more fun.
Me
Like,
too.
I think
I-
Shea Stadium was more
yes.
fun because they're all fat and
And now, as a Yankees fan, I went to a couple Mets games this year. It is upsetting as a Yankees fan how much more fun Citi Field is.
oh wow, that
They've
makes
got
sense.
better drink selection. They've got
Well, 'cause
a
they built
shake,
second,
They got
so
a
they-
Shake Shack
Oh, wow.
in center field. That's the thing. Baseball stadiums, I think, are the most fun because I go to all sporting events. Baseball stadium, because baseball is like it's so relaxing of a feel that like I was in Toronto a couple months ago and I went to a Blue Jays game and there's like lounge areas. There's like the food, the drinks. It's such a fun atmosphere.
I yearn for the days though where baseball was like the actual American pastime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In the way that like Joe and I like play Fortnite at the end of the night. Like what it literally would have been. It's like you go to the park, you play fucking baseball, you get
Yep.
hammered, and you run around and you beat the fucking shit out of your friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that
Great
like
time.
sounds absolutely amazing. And then like you guys watched that Ken Burns baseball movie, right?
I mean, I don't know if you guys you like Ken Burns stuff.
I like Ken Burns. I think I watched the first 2 episodes. episodes.
But it wasn't. But like that even enough is enough to like totally capture your imagination.
There is
about
something romantic and magic about old baseball stuff.
And then like just also that fleeting thing too, where like this actually was just like this genuine, amazing, original moment in America, like original moment in American culture that then just gets like consumed and taken apart.
Yeah.
When do you think baseball peaked?
Well, it had resurgences. Like it probably
Yeah.
did. Like there are those moments where like I think everyone didn't have faith in it. Like once it actually became like an institution.
Yeah.
Like in the late 1800s. But then I think like
1920s with Babe
and then they're
Ruth.
like, holy
Yeah.
fuck, they're actually delivering. Like this really
and then
came through.
kind of from there for the next few decades to the 50s, 60s, it's just America's pastime. 70s, 80s.
And the
I think
90s is
late
like its
80s,
last hurrah.
late 80s,
Yeah.
early 90s, it starts to kind of tail off in popularity. There was the strike that turned a lot of fans away. Then there was the Mark McGuire,
steroids,
and Sammy Sosa.
exactly. Yeah.
And but at that point, once the internet came
Nice.
around,
Who
because I
needs
think
this, dude? This is what
Ooh,
Sammy
there
Sosa
you go.
doesn't have. That's 100%.
Ooh, yeah, you're kind of like Mark McGuire, Bobby.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
all natural, baby.
Homosexual.
he is redheaded. But
Stretch mark right
I think
Oh damn! It's because your biceps are growing too big.
Yeah.
You might have to cut off your sleeves, like Matt Maran said he was doing. He was working out all the time, and the sleeves were constraining the growth of his biceps.
Yeah.
We might have two little Matt Marans.
It's
Matt,
true,
you
it's
might
like when
you
you-
might actually have to start wearing sleeves, and Bobby's gonna have to lose the sleeves.
Bobby's gonna become the
It's like
muscle
those
of the
videos
podcast.
of like when
It's-
you
those
grow
are
a
the rules, dude.
squash, like when you grow a squash in like
Yeah.
a cube,
Yeah.
and then it becomes a cube squash.
Or a goldfish
You've
can only
seen
grow
these?
based on the size of its containment.
Sure, it's a better analogy,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But you were gonna say something before we started talking about baseball. There was a hook.
No, that was
It
me
brings
just
them
gauging
back.
interest. That was
Yeah.
just me gauging interest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And there was no interest in that, so I took it to a better place.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. But yeah, I grew up. My dad was just baseball, but then I got into like every other sport. I was playing every sport. I tried so between playing, watching, then the video games of all the sports. Also, that was
Oh,
just like
yeah,
my entire
dude.
life.
Oh wait a minute, MLB 23. What do you guys?
MLB
you
the
guys
show.
play?
I don't play the games as much anymore. I had
What
a
about
couple-
golf? You play golf?
I never played golf.
Oh,
I said I was into sports.
Oh no, come on. Matt, if you're into baseball, you're into golf.
I don't know. I could see it maybe one
you
day.
like baseball, you like golf. If you like
Yeah.
sports, you like golf. Like, let's go freaking golfing. Should we go?
I've
Locker
never
room
been
talk-
golfing.
locker
I've
room
done
talk
mini
hits
golf.
The course.
I haven't even done top golf before,
Oh
so
my
I don't even
God.
know what my stroke would be. I've
Yo,
never like done.
Let's go to
yeah.
the range. We should go to the driving range in Chelsea. I'm thinking, Joe. I feel like you got
I gotta go check something.
Oh yeah, he's got to
Yeah.
go deal with his.
He's got
I have,
to perform
uh,
CPR on one of the
I have gone to
animals,
Chelsea
folks.
Piers.
We'll
'cause
reveal which one on the Patreon.
Chelsea Piers has got like the basketball court, the batting cages I've done. Because I still I coach softball and baseball in the spring.
What's your favorite sports movie?
Sandlot.
Sandlot, fucking classic.
Got to
dude.
be the classic Sandlot. My alternative pick, Slapshot.
I follow Patrick Rena on TikTok.
Oh, that's fucking what's his name?
The fat kid, the
I know
fat
the fat kid. I forgot what his name was though. Mike.
Oh,
Mikey
what is his
or
name? You're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah.
You're God
Smith.
damn killing me.
Mikey
you
Smith.
play ball like a girl.
Mikey D'Angelo.
No.
Mikey
you
Alfonso.
mean that wimpy deer?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
fuck that shit's good.
Yeah. Sandlot's like the
Forever.
classic good sports movie.
I like Mighty Ducks a great deal.
Mighty Ducks is
D2.
unbelievable.
I like D2.
Yeah. Ooh, you like the sequel?
I like D2. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. And D3 has a special place in my heart. But
D2 is
great.
Iceland, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Iceland.
Exactly.
The villains were from the Icelandic hockey team. Yeah, Slapshot is a good. Have you ever seen Slapshot?
Never seen Slapshot.
That's so good. It's like came out in the late 70s. It's very 70s.
And all of these are also just copying Rocky. It's all just copying Rocky,
Well,
right?
this was not really. The Slapshot's a little different. It's Paul Newman as
Paul
like
Newman.
yeah,
Oh.
it's really good.
Ooh, yeah. That means
Very 70s.
Bad News Bears with Walter
Bad News
Matthau.
Bears, the original Bad News
Oh,
Bears.
Yeah, I love Walter Matthau. Nobody
Yeah.
talks about him. Nobody talks about him. If I can't stand comedians that don't know who Walter Matthau is. This makes
Yeah.
me. Does that make me sound like an old fucking piece of shit? Fuck you, Bobby.
Do you know Walter Matthau?
No idea. Is he like Walter Cronkite?
Oh my God. You would love Walter Matthau. What do you do? What do you do when you're? What do Bobby? Let's hear a little bit from you. First of all, what do you do when you go home at night? And don't say
July
jerk.
is over,
and-
so he jerks off now.
Yeah, no, exactly. Obviously, the jerking off, but what? You can't spend 4 hours jerking off. You're like, oh, watch.
He's reading history stuff.
Reading history stuff.
What are you reading?
Well, actually, I took a sabbatical from reading the history stuff.
Really?
Matthew, and I'm reading a book by Rick Rubin about how to be an artist.
You're reading a book about how to be an artist.
Yeah.
And the first thing is don't read.
Don't
Books about
don't know who
how
this
to be an
Walter guy
artist.
is. That's actually the first chapter. It's like whoever this Walter faggot is, don't pay attention. to him.
First piece of advice: read the New York Times.
Did you ever see the '90s version?
That's my advice.
Second piece
now.
of advice: avoid all broy comedians.
Right. Yes.
Third piece of advice: rule of 3 in comedy. It's a good book.
How's your own podcast going these days?
It's good, man. It's actually, thank you for, I was going to plug it at the end, but I could plug it now. It's going to be released on August 20th on the evening, 9:30, which means when you're done listening to this episode, you can listen to me and Elia Laxon, who we've had on the podcast.
Did you see
before.
the comment that I left on one of your videos?
I did.
I saw it too.
It
I
was
liked it.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
you
was a
like
good
that?
time. Elia, during the episode, spoiler, questions how good the premise of the podcast
What is the? Let's talk about the premise of your pod on your other.
I'm
pod.
gonna have to know but that premise because you have to check in at 9:30 tonight, folks.
Okay.
Wait,
Check
tonight?
Sometimes I know
Tonight?
but
Yeah,
the premises.
Well, I mean, you can tell people the premise of the show before they watch it. That's not a spoiler.
I'm no butting this premise.
No, he's saying because so much already that is
It's too much.
spoiling the show. It's
Yeah.
talking about the premise is clearly a large part of the
Right.
show.
But I appreciate you asking. Do you have a project in the work? We can do the plugs now.
Do I have a project in the works? No, I don't have a fucking project. Oh, I might have a show at the comedy shop at some point in September.
Nice, dude. Can I be on it?
Maybe, yeah.
Nice, dude.
Totally, actually,
Can
yeah.
I be
yeah,
on
dude.
it? But
Yeah.
only if Bobby's not.
Yeah, I'll totally
Okay.
book you two and not.
Well, as someone that's driving themselves to the Poconos Comedy Festival, I actually enjoy this.
Wait,
setup.
are you actually?
Yeah.
What?
Oh yeah, you are staying with family.
Yes.
Damn,
Oh,
dude.
I didn't know you
How'd
were
Bobby
driving
get
yourself.
out of that?
Damn,
I
it's
mean,
gonna be me and Joe in the car then.
Don't worry,
I
Joe.
got a
Matt's gonna
thing,
talk
dude.
all
Or-
about wrestling.
I got
Or
a
is
thing.
Bobby gonna drive Joe?
No, there's no way that would ever happen. No way. Oh, you gonna turn left, Bobber? Is that what you're gonna do? You're gonna turn left? You're gonna turn left? It's gonna be a good time. You guys should come out to the Poconos unless you're busy that day.
Yikes! I might have a thing.
Oh my god.
Yikes!
And we also got Messina, New York, September 29th.
Ooh.
Yeah, and potentially more dates that weekend.
Oh
but
my
we're doing
God.
a live locker room talk podcast, and we're all doing stand up.
Hell yeah.
Live. So you got a
Never done
live.
stand-up.
You guys are doing a live show.
Yep.
With podcast, and you each do a set.
No,
Yep.
we should do stand up first, so that
We're
way.
doing stand up first, and then we're doing the
Dude,
So that way you have
bomb
something to talk
first.
about. You guys talk about each
And
other.
then talk about how we bombed. Talk about what went wrong.
Yeah.
How much time are we doing?
I don't know.
40
yet.
minutes each?
I do not think it's 40 minutes each.
when I
30
did
minutes each.
John's roast show, roast beef.
Oh yeah.
He had me judge the show. I was one of the judges, not to brag. And then the warm-up comic like dropped out.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's ever happened for Fight Club, but so then he was like, "Bobby, can you also do warm-up?" And I hate saying no to spots, but I'm like, absolutely not, because I can't do the hardest part of the show, possibly bomb, and then sit down
And have to
and
judge
have the
everyone.
nerve to judge other people's jokes.
Yeah.
That'd be the most unlikable position in comedy.
I've had people do warm up and then judge before.
Oh, who?
But did they do well when they warmed
Joe
up?
did, right? Did you
I
ever
did.
do that?
I knocked out of the fucking park, dude.
Yeah.
They were like, not only were you hilarious, you set a precedent and a standard on what we can judge other comics by rationally. It was powerful. Actually, no, I think I just did warm up, dude.
Okay. Yeah.
Now that I think about it,
I know you've done warm up and you've judged. I didn't know if it was ever at the same time.
never double dipping, dude.
Never double dipping.
I'm not a Bobby Sheehan, dude. I can't do both.
No, I refuse to.
What? Why didn't you tell me?
Steven, I don't know if you picked up on this, but Joe does not listen to me when I
I think
talk.
that's why Joe's driving with me to the Poconos.
What? Bobby said he was taking me.
Oh, hey, Petra. I almost forgot Petra's name. Oh, Petra likes Bobby.
Nice.
But so, Steven, were you always were you a big movies guy growing up?
Yeah, movies for life, yo. Every
Yeah.
weekend, go to the video rental store.
Ooh.
and you go. That was the main activity. You go to the video rental store. The parents,
I
a
remember-
movie for mom
yeah.
and dad, and a movie for the kids.
I
A
remember
little
after
triple X
the-
for mom and dad, a little PG-13 for little Steve
I
or
remember after school
Exactly.
hanging out in Blockbuster, just looking at what they had. I once dated a girl who I met in a Blockbuster, which I feel like is gonna be my like old man story.
Yeah, like meeting at like the fucking soda fountain or something.
How old
Yeah.
are you? How old are you, Matt? Is that okay? to ask?
32.
32. Exactly.
33 tomorrow.
Oh wow.
Ooh, he's a
Yeah,
big
by the
boy.
time
yeah.
this episode comes out, I'll be 33.
I'm excited for your party too.
That's
Thank
the
you.
age
Oh,
Jesus
excited for your
Christ
party.
died.
And it's
Yes.
the age Ava Braun was when she died. I just thought of that.
And more importantly, that was the age I picked up everything and moved to New York.
Whoa.
Forever changing my life.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Matt, maybe it's time for you to
Move to
change-
San
to
Francisco.
move to San Francisco. Complete the balance, dude.
Yeah.
But we always had that thing. I always had that thing. Like when I was a kid, I always wanted to work at the video rental store. And then when we became of age, it didn't exist
Well,
anymore.
what did you watch Clerks and think Randall was really cool?
Yeah, Randall. Yeah, obviously Randall. No, but also just like the thing, like even
Yeah.
just seeing the help wanted, but like the actual people there. As I was like, wow, you just literally are watching movies and they would talk about, and just
Yeah.
like be dicks and be like, oh, gross.
My
and talk
thing was
about movies.
my parents would rent movies, and then the night before they would return them, I would take the movies if they had a nude scene and fast forward and pause at the nude scene and return it, pause it. I'm sure they just take it and rewind it if
That was
anything isn't
awesome.
rewound, but I thought I was killing it when I
The
did
movie
that.
with the best nude. I remember the movie with simply the most pornographic nude scenes was Revenge of the Nerds. Did anybody ever?
You never
see
watched
Revenge
Species?
of the Nerds? Species was a little pornographic. Yeah.
Species had like full-on sex scenes.
Yeah, I
dude.
mean Eurotrip.
Oh yeah, but Eurotrip was later. I was
Oh,
jerk. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I was.
Yeah, you
Eurotrip
have
was,
regular
I could
porn
Google
by the time
I could
Eurotrip.
Google. I
How
could-
old are you?
I'm almost 32.
Okay,
Yeah.
because for me, I like by the time I was jerking off like 11 or 12 maybe.
Yeah,
So
I-
that's
Jesus,
like
Matt.
I hit it on the 12, late
12. Yeah.
Late
So
in the
that's
12.
like 2002,
Took me a
2003.
while
So by
to
that
figure
point,
it out though.
by that point, I've already seen Shannon Elizabeth in American Pie.
That's a good point. Yeah, Chanel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
you
mean,
saw her and you were like, my.
or like the tits in Airplane. Remember in Airplane? Remember that
Yeah.
classic scene in Airplane where just the tits just come at like it's just like they're a moment of turbulence and then just like a woman,
Yes.
topless woman just comes to the screen. and
What
it
do you
just
remember
goes
the
off.
first movie tits you've ever seen?
Starship Troopers, dude. Starship Troopers. And it was honestly, it was with my mom in a hotel room. And like,
Oh,
it literally
God.
informed my sexuality, like to the fullest extent. Like, I just remember it was with my mom in a hotel room. And I remember her like covering my eyes. And I just remember just thinking like, it was in the co-ed showers in that
Yeah.
movie. And I remember thinking like, God damn, like, the army is awesome. Like,
I
God,
know.
adulthood is awesome.
that
And it was
cool?
such a disappointment. Like, that truly was the biggest disappointment. That was like that was such an iconic thing in that movie, and that just not it doesn't exist at all.
I know, like you wanted co-ed bathroom. You're like, damn, I'm going to shower with a fucking topless woman. Instead, you get co-ed bathrooms and you get sexually assaulted by a trans person.
Yes, here we go.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for setting up a fucking false expectation. That's the
Oh,
only thing
yeah.
that happens, dude.
Love Starship Troopers. Love that movie. When was the last time you guys watched that movie?
I haven't seen it.
Oh,
I
dude,
know.
Money
I-
in the Bank, dude. It's
Yeah.
one of the most original, makes no, such a fucking good movie, dude.
Yeah.
Co-ed showers, and you get the most violent shit ever. That's a good movie.
When
Come
did it
on.
come out?
1997.
Okay.
Jinx, you owe him a Coke.
That's a good time.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of pop culture stuff that I missed out. Like, I saw some, like, certain things, I kind of, because I just lived in that era, but I never had, like, anytime other people had a thing that they were into, mine was always sports.
We
related.
should have. That is actually a good idea for a podcast. Is like
Yeah.
you teach me
Introducing
a
sports thing.
crucial moment
Oh,
in
great.
sports history.
Another co-host lost to a fucking side project.
And
Well,
then-
everyone, thanks for watching the Joe Gorman pod.
And then I'll show you like that the big
Joe
movie that
Gorman
was like on that
experience.
weekend or whatever of the
Okay.
same like congruent of
Yeah.
that sports event.
If we find
yeah,
one
exactly.
that me and you watch Game 7 of the 2003 ALCS where Aaron Boone hits a walk-off home run against the Red Sox.
What year was that? What year?
2003.
How about we
Okay,
watch?
yeah. And
That's
then-
the Super Bowl where Janice Jackson's tit fell out.
I
huh?
think so, either that or the next year. It was
Yeah.
around that same
That's
time.
the one
yeah.
we should watch. We all have a
Janet
good little.
Jackson.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck. yeah.
I was watching that, though.
Gonna get you naked by the end
Classic.
of this song, and then he fucking pulled off her fucking breast flap.
And we were
and her
like,
titty
what
popped
is
out.
it? What is
Yeah.
that she's wearing?
And then like all of a sudden that
Breast
fucking
jewelry.
milk just started spraying out of her titty and like fucking coating the entire field, dude.
Yeah.
Well, a game is postponed on account of soggy field. Janice Jackson's titty milk.
Yeah, I
Janet
do.
Jackson.
There are things from like the early 2000s that are just like in my brain, like anything, like all the music, anything like Blink-182, Linkin Park, Avril Lavigne, Michelle Branch, like everything.
.mp3.
That's
I
all
gotta
in
find
my
out now
head.
what was happening that exact like what was I watching on TV
In
instead of
2000 instead of the
yeah
ALCS.
exactly.
Yeah.
I have to figure literally. I'm sure I could find out. I found this great like Instagram of just like 25 years ago. This is what was on Nickelodeon all day. And I
Oh,
just remember,
yeah.
I like the full day. I'm just like I remember being home watching TV all day that
Yeah.
day.
Matt, what was on Nick Jr. during the 9/11 attacks? You know, fucking
Oh, that's
face,
what I wanna say.
Face pops on. It was like, "Hey kids, at 9:58 a.m. Muslim extremists hijacked a plane.
Up next is a legless
I
window.
want Face to do the John Cena Osama bin Laden announcement.
On Nick Jr.
Hey everyone, it's Face. We have compromised Osama bin Laden to a permanent end. I just made a Mickey Mouse, but
It's true. Yeah, you did the Mickey Mouse stuff. He would horn. He would constantly horn. Face.
yeah,
Does it scare you that the AI would have perfectly done that face impression, Matt?
yeah, probably.
Like,
Let's do like a Slime Time Live, but with like pedophiles, and you find out who the pedophile is by who gets slimed.
is it the school principal, the janitor, the librarian, your teacher? That was like unforgivable in the 90s to have sex with a student. Now it's like celebrated.
Now it's fun. Just having a good time.
Yeah, if you're that would be God. I always wanted to have sex with my teacher.
My
are we
Spanish teacher.
on to the second episode yet?
No.
No, we're gonna stop and take a break in between.
Bobby's going to go do a set at the tiny cupboard.
Okay. And when do we?
He's been such a blabbermouth this episode anyway.
Matt, stop it. He's hurting.
Every-
he has
you know-
to save his voice for fucking the morning routine podcast, dude.
You know
Can you
how
imagine if I
everybody-
got voice polyps?
Yeah.
You know how everybody always wanted to fuck their third grade teacher? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
Miss
if that's-
Scanlon.
Oh yeah. Did you want to save this for the Patreon?
You want to say
Oh
her
my
first
God.
and
Joe
last
just
name?
said the name of his teacher.
Yeah, first I'm going Miss. I had Miss Dopp, right? Miss Dopp, right?
Miss
But
Dopp.
she was Miss Lightman before. She was like she had gotten married a couple years
Yeah.
before, and
Oh,
she
what
would
a
always
bitch.
talk about her husband, like Rod. She always, use her husband in like examples of things, like like say my husband Rodney does things like Rodney. But then,
And then you killed.
but then,
Rodney.
as you remember, a few years back, my dad was in the news. You recall? A
Yes.
few years back,
Was
my
he in
dad
the New
was
York
in the
Times?
news. Yeah, he was in the New York Times. But then,
Is he also a broy comedian?
But then my freaking
Matt,
yeah.
this isn't about you.
But then this freaking teacher reached out. She Facebook messaged me. This is a few years, 2017. She reached out to me. She was like, hey, like I saw your dad in the news, and I was just like, it took a while for me to respond, but I was like, hey, Miss Dot. But I saw that she was back to Miss Lightman in the
Dude, I'm
thing.
getting hard just hearing this.
And I was like, hey, Miss Dop, parentheses. I was like, hey, Miss Lightman, parentheses, Dop, dash. I never liked Rodney anyway.
Oh.
And boom, and then we were chatting for a
Did you
little
fuck
while.
her?
No, but I really wanted
You'd be like,
to.
Miss Dopp,
I didn't know how
I
to
have a
get
homework
to that.
assignment. And you're like, I hope this is an A+.
But she wanted. But I'll tell you what. She was like, I see you're doing stand up now. I'd love to come see a show. She's like, and she would always be like, invite me to a show. And I'm like, I have none to invite her to.
Dude, you
That's
gotta
when
like,
you start messaging people, please put me up. I need to do a spot.
I want to eat my third grade teacher's pussy. Miss
See,
Dopp.
I would have just been like, I actually need 4 people to come see me perform tonight. Can you be one of them?
Yeah.
Oh,
Can you
yeah.
bring 3 of your ugly friends?
God, I didn't even think about that just in terms of like I could have filled a bringer with that. You
yeah.
know, it's like I was so pussy minded that I'm not like I gotta be more stage time minded.
I had that
so
thought when I
clouded.
first started comedy, and the idea of bringer shows was made available to me. And I literally thought, I'm like, let's get 4 different girls to come see me,
Nice.
like from dating apps. And then guess what,
Compete.
Steven? I could not do that.
you could never make it happen, yeah.
I crawled before I walked.
What was your dad in the news for?
He's a journalist. He is just a
Okay.
journalist, and he writes about he writes about Trump shit nowadays.
Did you
Yeah.
read The Fire and the Fury?
No.
Steven's dad wrote that.
Really?
He did.
Okay.
What's the fire and the
Yeah.
fury?
It was a book that came out about Trump a while back, and it was one of those moments. It was just in that perfect moment of time where
Oh.
Trump didn't learn yet that tweeting about stuff just
I
makes
think
it more
I
successful.
don't know if I want to say your dad's name, but I feel like I've seen a Trump
can
book
say-
with the
you
was
can
it
say
like
his
Richard
name.
Wolff?
Michael Wolff. but
Michael Wolff. Yeah,
same
I've seen
shit.
that.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
yeah, I've
It's-
seen like that name on a Trump book before. Oh shit. Okay.
Oh, this
Yeah,
isn't.
and now he's
this
gone.
isn't one of your little sketches.
No, this is
You're not
actually
doing this
true.
little sketch.
No.
I know. And sometimes he always he always has it now too, and no one believes him, which is the funniest thing.
That's
But everyone
that's
believes
the
him when he
best-
just says, "I have a crush on any female comedian."
Matt, you have a fucking crush. Just get over it, dude.
on who this time?
It's like embarrassing. Come on, Matt. Don't make me say her name. That sets your heart aflutter.
And it's one of those
Say
things like I
her
don't feel
name.
bad talking about this in the last 2 minutes of
Yeah.
the podcast
Right.
because if you made it this far, you guys, hey, look, you're
Yeah.
a fan.
Yeah.
Hey, you're a fan. You deserve to know shit.
Yeah.
But that was. But I want to fuck. I still want to fuck that teacher though. Is my
nice,
point. I
dude.
wanna
You should
fuck
write her. You should send her a picture of your dick and be like, "Oh, hey, I fucking finished that homework assignment."
Hey, Mrs. D, how about you get the Mr. D tonight?
There you go.
Dude. That'd be so cool
Wouldn't it though?
to have consensual sex with a teacher who doesn't like rape
A teacher
you.
that you had.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
and then you have her again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it's time for me to teach you a little something.
Damn, everyone's
That's how to
flipping out.
reassure a man
Yeah.
that it's okay that he can't sustain an erection.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
Sorry, that was me projecting a little bit.
No, hey, project
Awesome.
away.
Steven, where can people find you?
People can find me on the internet.
What's your Instagram?
You search me. I'm at Steven Wolff. I'm around. I have
2
to-
F's.
Yeah, Steven Wolff with a V, 2 F's, no E. I'm a hardcore rapper with
There
a
you go.
hardcore beat.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening. Check out Bobby's new podcast, After Hours Podcast,
The Before Hours podcast.
Before Hours Podcast. I got a little ahead of myself there. That'll be coming on after you watch this. You can go over on YouTube and watch that.
Unless you don't want to.
Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, see
Bye.
you on the Patreon.